So it's been a few days, a few weeks, a few months even, and I have found a little place to perch in Newquay of all places. This is probably the more um, rockier side uh, of Newquay. Fistral Beach is just over there, which you'll see in a second. But I figured a nice place that has a little bit of ocean in the background. Hopefully not too much wind, but if there is too much, I'll do my usual audio wizardry magic to make it sound better. So we're 100 and I think 66 days at the time of recording into this crazy journey, and yes, my sharing on social media has not been great. Um, and I'm gonna work on that. Like honestly, I'm an 80s baby, like 90s kid. Like I just don't have the need and want to be promoting on social media all the time. Even though I have an online business, like I have all of that and it all works. But honestly, the end goal is what I want. My Lion King mornings whilst I'm drinking coffee from a coffee plantation around the corner from where I live, with my farm, chickens and lambs and cows and alpacas, and like having jiu-jitsu retreats happening in the dojo down the corner, and lots of people having fun in the guest house around the other corner. But for now, we are focusing on what is at hand, and that is visiting jiu-jitsu gyms. So far, I have visited 17, that's 1-7, or 1-7 gyms across only 4 countries, technically. So you got Tenerife, Gran Canaria, Portugal, Spain, and the UK. Okay, so maybe that's 4 or 5. And I've begun to understand why I'm doing this, because I honestly, I knew I had to do it, but I didn't know why. But I knew if I just kept on moving forwards, eventually I would understand. And sure enough, we're, halfway through, just over halfway through, and with the different experiences I've been getting at these gyms, I'm starting to understand what it means for me, what I'm looking for, potentially the problems I'm gonna face, new kind of setups that I didn't think about, all that kind of stuff. And I still kind of stand by the idea that when I go back home to Kenya, all of this is gonna be maybe a 2-3-fold phase type of thing. So just to bring you up to speed, I am currently a purple belt. I started jiu-jitsu in 2018, tail end of 2018, so we're coming up to 7 years of jiu-jitsu. I trained in London for a long time. I hopped around a lot of gyms because I'm a person first, and then we kind of reach into the legacy and whatever of a gym afterwards. And I really do tend to have loyalty to people when they're good. We won't lean into that for now, but that's where I am. Started in 2018, now it's 2024. And when I started jiu-jitsu, I said to myself I had to commit to 100 sessions, at least 100 sessions, 100 reps before I was allowed to quit. And somewhere around session 47, I said to my coach at the time, Professor Bling, that I wanted to open a gym in Kenya. And he didn't bat an eyelid, he didn't blink. He was just like, well, I hope to see that happen, and you'll be hopefully the first female black belt in Kenya as well. And having that kind of support is honestly what's kept me going. Not so much the first female black belt in Kenya, although that would be nice, but more the fact that I wasn't ridiculed, I wasn't told, hey, maybe focus on your jiu-jitsu first, or whatever. I was seen and understood, or he understood that I had a vision, and with the way I was showing up at jiu-jitsu as a white belt, it was down to me to kind of keep on going. And that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'm going to keep on doing. Even if I'm not going to be like the world's best competitor. I don't really want to be the world's best competitor. Do I want to compete? Yes. Do I accept that I'm a little bit older and I have to be a little bit more careful? Yes. In case you're wondering, I am not in my 20s. I am closer to my 40s. But I love teaching. I love seeing people happy. I love seeing people grow in confidence. And I love having people understand that martial arts is more than just the kicks, the punches, the submissions. It's more about the mentality that martial arts, any given martial arts, can give you. Because that's what it gave me. From the age of 6, I've been in martial arts of some description, whether it's Shotokan Karate, ITF or WTF Taekwondo, Capoeira, a little bit of Krav Maga for work, Kapap also for work, close quarter combat, now with Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, even doing Muay Thai, as much as that beats my butt, but everything that I'm doing is more for this as opposed to this. It is for this too, don't get me wrong. Like, even though a lot of days I'm a very broken human, it is for this, but it's more for this. So, with all of that in mind, another aspect that you may or may not be aware of is over the last few years, life has been pretty interesting. I'm not going to say tough, even though it was, but for me it was definitely interesting in the sense that I lost my mother to suicide in 2019, and then I lost my stepdad to just ripe old age and probably COVID in tail end of 2020, but that side of the family didn't tell me until I got a will sent over, or rather they had to send me the will, and I found out 6 months later that my dad died 6 months ago, so pretty not nice. And with lockdown, a sense of urgency kept on pressing into me, kept on pushing. And one day I had this kind of, I call it my dark dog. If you watch one of my other videos, I kind of lean into the idea of like daily unaliving ideation. And I have that. And I have my dark dog, right? My dark dog likes to come in with very, very calm, very, very sensible end games. But this one that it came in with during lockdown was interesting because it just came in and it was like, do you want to die here? And I was like, absolutely the F not. And bear in mind, I was lying on my sofa in London with my beloved cat on me, who I love to pieces. His name's Icarus. He was one of those naked cats, a Sphinx cat. Watching Rick and Morty, living in a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, literally, I had it made in that sense of existing. But so far as thriving and really squeezing as much out of life as possible, I certainly was not doing that. And the idea of everything unraveling, unfolding, and ending in London as a born and raised Kenyan did not sit well with me. So from that, things started moving forwards. And I'm not going to go into everything. If you search through everywhere, you'll find little bits and bobs that kind of add to where I am right now, including Budokan, spending a month in Montana, coming back, going to Kenya, planning to leave, but I came back for a human. That didn't work out, and now we're here. I am thankful for every single experience I've had so far, and the ability to sit here with minimal funds. Like, you guys need to understand, I am traveling with next to nothing. I'm making stuff work every single day. I'm online, making my other business as an audio editor, audio engineer work, whether it's editing audiobooks, editing podcasts, doing one-off audio editing for people, creating my sleep stories, which I still haven't published yet, but I should. Someone kick my ass, please. I ain't got shit. Like, I don't have savings. I had to leave. I had to go now, otherwise I was going to die in the UK, and I didn't want that. All of that aside, I have learned with gyms, this matters first. Why you start a gym matters first. Then afterwards, the what, the how, the when, the where kind of fall into place in different orders, depending on where you are in your life, what you have available to you, who you align with the best. You know, if you're a family person and you have a family, that's going to influence your setup way more than a single person who probably doesn't want kids, or a single person who absolutely loves kids but doesn't want any of their own, or does, or like, you know, there's so many combinations that influence the start. And that's what I'm learning. Add to that, with my first few professors, as I've been visiting them, we've all been talking about the idea of legacy. I don't like the idea of legacy. I think it's a little bit old and dated, but I understand in a way that for business it is kind of important, especially with what I want to do in Kenya. Having that legacy, being able to invite people from America, from Europe, from South America, Brazil, wherever, from Asia, like inviting people over with the lineage as well would be quite fun. And getting the support, and, you know, the other way around, where I can have my little team, my mixed martial arts team or my jiu-jitsu team, we can come out once or twice a year and compete. You know, we can bring some Africa heat to the nationals, to international invitationals, like, you know, anything like that. That's what I'd really love to do. Granted, from my side, it would be the women's team, and then I would team up with the guys in Kenya. We'd have the men's team, and we just come up and bring the heat. You know, that's the fun aspect I'd love to have. But beyond investors, investment, and all of that, lineage will be important. So that's something I'm still thinking about now. Other experiences that I've really enjoyed experiencing and seeing are how gyms are set up. So you can have the traditional space that is just purely for jiu-jitsu, like the mats are there and it's just sessions in, day out of jiu-jitsu, maybe a little bit of judo, maybe a little Muay Thai, a little bit of yoga, MMA, you know, whatever is for the mats, like those sessions are just there. And then having other places where you're within a gym. So a gym space that is more about working out, and you have these classes as options. The relationship there is interesting. Sometimes it's very, very unified, where it's not a gym with classes, where it's a fighting gym. Maybe even the person who created the gym created it with jiu-jitsu as a focus, or mixed martial arts as a focus. So that's heavily pushed, and then the kind of strength and conditioning and all of that kind of stuff comes in afterwards, which I think is amazing. Then, you know, you have hybrid concepts where the gym is in a hub, where it's not just about strength and conditioning, it's about holistic health. You know, you've got your ice baths, you've got your therapy rooms, maybe even have psychology, like psychotherapists, signing in with medical, you know, having premium medical options there. Like all these kind of options I think are absolutely amazing to experience and to see, and I'm super thankful for the time every single coach, head coach, founder, owner, director has given me, just to ask them really straightforward questions about why they did what they did, why they do what they do, how they've done it, and ultimately saying that they'd be available if I want to ask them more questions. So yeah, 17 gyms in out of 30. Being here in Newquay has been really, really great, really interesting. The UK in summer, as varied as it's been, is trying to woo me back, but I've given this place 23 of my finest years and it's time to move. So after teaching my workshop this weekend, I'm teaching a grounded movement workshop, which is basically like a super fun evolution. It's basically evolution through natural body movement, from being a single cell organism into a multi-cell organism, into like the various kind of stages of evolution that we learned in primary school, all the way up into being an upright human. And then we kind of move into roughhousing. And I created that a long time ago, probably like 15 years ago, before jiu-jitsu was even part of my life. But Georges Herbet, with the movement naturel, kind of aspect was very much part of my MoveNat life. So I created something that kind of fused that with capoeira, because I always found people looked at themselves too much as opposed to looking at other people and not being so stuck in their own body. So being able to move themselves whilst looking out from themselves. So I'm teaching that this weekend at a Contact Improvisation retreat. Then after that's back to London, and then we're out. It's adios to the UK. For realsies this time. Unless someone decides to like pay me $5K and put me in a 5-star hotel to teach something. I don't know. But yeah, it's off back out to the UK, back out to the EU, doing a few more places: Estonia, Budapest, Crete, maybe Prague, then Germany, Netherlands, and then the US. Like, I have to get my stuff in order. I need to get my flights, need to get my ESTA sorted out. But yeah, then it's going to be a speed run of the US in 8 locations, mostly spurred on by friends. As much as I'd love to go to all the best gyms in the US, I haven't got the funds for it. And traveling around the US the way I've been traveling around Europe and the UK really isn't viable. I really do not want to rent a car. I might have to every now and then. But the whole point of this is to be able to travel as a solo female traveler without having to rent a car, without having to spend a huge amount of money, and still get to have a really amazing jiu-jitsu experience. But yeah, that's my catch-up for you. It's been a long one. I have rambled on. The first kind of 7 minutes or so is just a catch-up for people, and probably expanding in a way that I probably didn't think about before. But it's done. It's 166 days we're in. And yeah, until the next one, I shall see you later. Ciao, ciao.